In this video, we're going to talk about how to graph and write equations of special lines. So this is a horizontal line. Notice that it goes straight across like you would see when you were looking at the horizon. That's where the word horizontal comes from. So this is a vertical line. It goes straight up and down in the vertical direction. So we have this mnemonic HOI-VUX that helps us remember the information associated with horizontal and vertical lines. So a horizontal line is described by HOI, which says that a horizontal line has zero slope, and it is described by a y equals equation. Vertical lines are described by VUX, so a vertical line has an undefined slope, which is an x equals equation. So let's take a closer look at horizontal lines. So what is the slope of a horizontal line? Well, remember that slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. So let's pick 2 points on this line. So if we look at this point and this point, the change in y will be 0, right? Because I'm not going any number of squares up or down. So the change in y will be 0 divided by the change in x. Well, if I go from this point to this point, I'm moving right 1. So this will be 0 over plus 1. So 0 divided by 1 will basically be 0. So the horizontal line will have a slope of 0. Well, now let's talk about the equation of this line. Well, if I look at some points that are on this line, notice that I have the point 0, 2. I have this point, which is 7, 2. I also have this point, which is negative 6, 2. So notice that the y value in all of these points is 2. So the equation of this horizontal line will be y equals 2. So let's talk now about vertical lines. Well, what is the slope of a vertical line? The slope is described by the change in y divided by the change in x. So if I pick 2 points that are on this line, notice that I'm going to go down 1, so that's going to be minus 1. But then I don't go any values to the left or right, so my change in x will be 0. Well, we cannot divide numbers by 0, so that is why the slope will be undefined, because we are unable to divide a number by 0, so we have an undefined slope. Now let's talk about the equation. Well, if we look at the equation of this line, so it will have the points like 1, 0. It'll have this point, 1, 5. This point down here, 1, negative 6. So notice that the x value is always equal to 1 when I'm describing points on this line. So the equation of this vertical line will be x equals 1. So let's look at this example and describe the slope of this line and write the equation that describes this line. So this is a horizontal line, right? You can see it goes across, so we can use HOI to describe this line. It will have a slope of 0, and the equation will be in y equals form. So this equation will be y equals negative 5, because notice that is the y value of every point that's on this line. So now let's describe the slope of this line and write the equation that describes this line. So the slope, since it's a vertical line, will be from VUX. So remember, the slope will be undefined, and then the equation will be an x equals equation. Notice that this line passes through negative 4, so this will be the equation x equals negative 4. So now let's write an equation that would describe the x-axis. Well, the x-axis, if you look at it, is a horizontal line, right? So we'd have a slope of 0, and also, since we have our mnemonic HOI, we know that it's going to be a y equals equation. Let's look at the points that are on this line. We have the point 0, 0. We also have the point 6, 0. We have the point negative 6, 0. So notice that y equals 0 at every point that's on this line. So y equals 0 is the equation that describes the x-axis. Now let's write an equation that would describe the y-axis. Notice the y-axis is a vertical line, so we can use VUX to describe the slope and the equation. The slope will be undefined, and if we write the equation, it's going to be an x equals equation. So it's going to be x equals, well, let's see what x equals. We have the point 0, 0. We have the point 0, 6. We have 0, negative 5. So notice that x equals 0 at every point that's on this line. So the equation will be x equals 0. So now let's graph x equals 2. So from our mnemonic, we know that something with x equals is going to be a vertical line. So x equals 2 is going to be a vertical line that goes through 2. So it's going to look like this. Now let's graph y equals 3. So from Hoy, we know that y equals is going to be a horizontal line. So this will be a horizontal line that goes through the value of 3. So in summary, remember that horizontal lines have a slope of 0. The equation of a horizontal line is y equals blank, where the blank represents a number. Vertical lines have an undefined slope. The equation of a vertical line is x equals blank, where the blank represents a number.